Well, it's springtime around here, and I want to revisit the 704 cleanup project. This is what it looks like now. Last fall I had a few issues. When I had it running, it seemed like it was low on fuel or starved for gas. So first I checked out the fuel line. Here I have some vice grips holding the fuel line so it can drip in the pan. The vice grips aren't pinching it, just lightly holding it. Then if I turn on the fuel valve here, that looks good. Alright, I'm going to take the fuel pump apart. That thicker diaphragm I tried didn't work, so maybe the thinner stuff didn't work either. That annoying water drip sound is because there's snow melting off of the roof. Well, that's not what I expected. This thinner diaphragm looks okay. This thicker diaphragm material that I made a gasket out of looks like it just fell apart. When this thicker material failed before, I cut the center out of it to use it as a gasket, and it's the edges of the hole that I cut out that couldn't take it. Well, there you go. Tried to save 6 cents in gasket material and ended up costing a bunch of time and effort. So I'm going to get all that cleaned up and put it together with this new gasket. I got these 2 holes in the dashboard here. One of them's for a choke cable, so I'll put that in. I don't know if that other hole at the bottom is original or not. Well, I couldn't stand it. I had to go find out. So this is another 64 that I have. I converted it to a 704, but it started life as a 654, and that had electric start on it. So if you look at this dash panel, it's got both holes, and it's got the other one plugged. So I'd have to say those are probably factory original holes, and they used whichever one they needed for that model. Here's the new choke cable. This one's actually an old wheel horse part. You can still get replacements from Stens. And here's the bracket I need to mount it with. This is from another engine. It's going to mount on that stud right there. Well, I need to remove the hood, so the first thing to go is the steering shaft. First I need to get out this temporary bolt. That seems to be stuck in there. I'll have to get some more tools. Well, if I hold this piece where it belongs and look down from the top, Looks like it's too close to the carburetor. So I'm going to go tighten up that bend right there. That looks better. Now I'm going to take the clip off the end of here because it's easier to do it while I got it in my hand. You want to look down from the top and rotate this thing to where it's going to point the cable in the right direction to get to the choke lever. I'm going to route this cable where I want it here. Definitely needs cut off. Well, I want to cut the outside part right about there where my thumb is. The wire coming out of there needs to be longer than the outside sheathing, so you got to get the wire out before you cut the outside. I'm going to cut off this Z-bend here. Pull the wire completely out of there. Then you just work with the outside sheathing and get it routed where you want. Cut that part to length. If I look at where the cable is, I think I want it to be farther forward. So I'm going to bend this bracket down a little bit. Alright, I got my cable back in there. Got the knob pushed all the way in. And I have the choke in the off position. So I'm going to hold the sheathing so it's about a 1/2 inch above the bracket. And I'm going to start the Z-bend in the cable right about there. I don't have the proper tool for this, so I use needle nose pliers. Next I have this switch here. I'm going to use that for a kill switch. It's a little bit small for this hole, so I got a few washers. I got a big one to go on the switch first, and I got a smaller, better looking one for the outside. There's a few things I want to do before I put the switch in there. On a Kohler engine that uses a magneto and not the battery ignition, your kill switch needs to ground the wire. The original switch would have only had one terminal, and it would have connected it to ground when the switch was on. With this generic switch, I need to have a little jumper wire. So that's going to connect the kill wire to ground when the switch is on. I'm going to put a terminal on this kill switch wire, and that's everything that gets connected to the switch, so I can go ahead and bolt it in. I got these fancy wire strippers that does everything all in one motion. This is the type of crimpers I use. They have a ratchet action, so it locks it closed, and it don't release until you squeeze it far enough. That's supposed to ensure you have a good crimp. It's got the color-coded holes like most of them, so you have to use the right size. Now I'm going to check this with my meter to see which way to mount it. If I flip it this way and the beeper goes off, those two are connected, so the wire would be grounded and it would kill the engine. If I flip it this way, where the terminals are not connected, that would be the run position. So I'm going to put an R on this end of the switch for run. When I flip it this way, the beeper goes off, so I'll put a S on this end of the switch for stop. Now I'm going to mount my switch, so you flip it up to run and down to stop it. Alright, the big washer goes behind the dash panel. And the little fancy one goes on the outside. I need to route the wire so it stays away from that lift lever back there. There's no holes in the fuel tank shelf, so I can't attach it to that. I'm going to let it run through the middle and hang there. Keep it to this side a little bit. Should be okay. I want to cut the end off of this old kill wire to get that frayed part off of there. And I'll cut the new wire to length and connect it with a crimp-on butt connector. So here I want to have the gear pinned to the steering shaft and the set collar loose. I'm going to turn the steering wheel until the tires are straight. Then I'm going to pull this shaft up and rotate it so the two arms on the steering wheel are horizontal. Put it back in. Because on a two-spoke steering wheel, I want my bars horizontal when the wheels are straight. Then you put your set collar in position and tighten it to hold everything in position. Alright, let's see how this works. I'm going to pull the throttle cable out slowly until I see the throttle plate just barely reach the open position. Set the choke to fully on and turn on the ignition. Give it a try. Looks like I had the choke on when I didn't need it. Seems to work good though. I have the volume turned way down because it's real windy today. Got a bunch of annoying wind noise. Hey, that's not working so well. Alright, I have to get out my voltmeter and see what's going on. Well, what I found was the jumper wire wasn't making a good ground connection. So I sanded off the paint on the back side of the dash panel where the switch is, and it should be making good connection now. So I'm going to try it. Alright, looks like that fixed it. Everything's working good now. And I think that about wraps it up on the 704 cleanup project. Well, here's a little video segment of this tractor earning its keep around here. Alright, that's it.